It started with a scream. Not a loud one. Not the kind that draws attention from blocks away. It was soft, almost strangled, as if someone realized too late that no one was coming to save them. At exactly 3:12 a.m. on October 14th, 2019, a 911, dispatcher in Cedar Falls, West Virginia, received the call. The line crackled, then silence. All the dispatcher could hear was a shallow breath of someone either terrified or dying. And then nothing. The call was traced to 117 Black Hollow Lane, a crooked two-story farmhouse on the outskirts of town, backed up against a forest so thick it could swallow you whole. Locals called the place the Widow's Nest, a derelict house, always hidden behind a veil of mist, the kind that no one visits unless they have a reason. And Clara Willoughby had a reason. She was 42, newly widowed, and the only known occupant of that house. Her husband, Jacob, had died 2 months earlier in what was ruled a suicide, though half the town whispered otherwise. He'd been found hanging from the rafters of their barn, barefoot, with his glasses still on his face and a cup of hot coffee beside him. The note had been typed and signed and cold. It read simply, "I'm tired. I'm sorry." Everyone had questions. None were answered. Clara retreated. The day after the funeral, she stopped coming into town. She canceled all her appointments. Her car didn't move for weeks. The only sign she was still alive came every Tuesday, when groceries were delivered and left on the porch. The bags would be gone the next day. When police responded to the 911 call that October morning, what they found wasn't a crime scene. It was a riddle soaked in blood. The front door was unlocked. The lights were off. A pot of coffee, half full, sat on the warmer. 2 cups were set out, one used, one clean. In the living room, a record was spinning softly on an old turntable, stuck in the final groove. The song had finished hours ago, but the arm hadn't lifted. That quiet rhythmic click was the only sound as the officers moved through the house. And Clara Willoughby was gone. Not murdered, not hiding, just gone. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, no blood trails or broken windows. Her phone was still on the kitchen table, her purse unopened, her shoes by the front door. It was as though she had simply walked into thin air after making a 911 call she never spoke on. There was one thing, though. In the master bedroom, someone had written a single sentence across the mirror in red lipstick. He was never supposed to die. The media descended quickly. Clara's disappearance became a national sensation. A beautiful widow, a haunted house, a mysterious 911 call, and an unresolved suicide. It had all the makings of a legend. But beneath the headlines, the townspeople whispered something darker. They said Black Hollow Lane was cursed. No one said out loud, not to reporters. But it wasn't just the Willoughbys. Before them, the house had been home to 3 other families, all touched by tragedy. In 1993, the Killian family's youngest daughter, Elise, vanished from the backyard. No ransom, no sightings, nothing. Her swing still hung from the oak tree. In 1974, retired schoolteacher Ruth Temple shot her husband in the chest 3 times, then sat on the porch and waited for police. She never said why. And in 1949, the original owners, the Merrow siblings, both died from what was described in their autopsy reports as paralytic shock. The files were incomplete. Some of the pages had gone missing. It was like the land itself had a memory, and it was angry. Detective Marcus Wren of the Cedar Falls PD was the lead investigator on Clara's case. A quiet man, ex-military, known for his methodical nature and obsession with details. He refused to believe Clara had simply walked away. Something happened in that house, he told a local reporter 2 months later. She didn't leave. She was taken. But by whom? The investigation dragged on. No fingerprints beyond the Willoughbys. No unusual DNA. No signs of forced entry, tampering, or intruders. The only anomaly was the lipstick on the mirror. It wasn't Clara's brand. She hadn't owned any makeup, according to friends. And the handwriting didn't match hers. The security footage from a nearby gas station, the only camera on the road leading to Black Hollow, showed a black van heading toward the property at 2:47 a.m. the night Clara vanished. It was never seen coming back. The plates were unreadable. Wren tried everything. Canvassed the woods, talked to neighbors, dug into Jacob's suicide. He even brought in a forensic handwriting expert and a retired FBI profiler. They agreed on one thing. Whoever wrote the message on the mirror was trying to communicate something very specific. A guilt, perhaps, a warning. But there was something else that troubled Wren. He learned that Clara had been making secret calls in the weeks after her husband's death to a lawyer in Pittsburgh, to a local priest, even though she wasn't religious, and to a woman named Delarue, a name that didn't appear in any town records. Delarue, as it turned out, had lived in a house before Clara, briefly, for exactly 3 weeks in 2004. She had checked into a motel on the edge of town in a panic, eyes bloodshot, hands trembling. The clerk said she looked like she hadn't slept in days. Something in the walls, she kept muttering. Something in the walls. No one believed her. She moved away, changed her name, and never spoke of it again. Wren tracked her down in a small town in Oregon. She was reluctant to speak. But eventually, she cracked. "I heard voices," she said, staring at her hands. "At night, a man whispering, not threatening, just talking. About death, about lies. I thought I was losing my mind. Then one night, the bedroom mirror shattered on its own. That was the last straw." He asked her what the voices said. Her response was chilling. He was never supposed to die. The same words on Clara's mirror. Still without a body, a witness, or physical evidence. The case eventually went cold. Wren retired in 2023, still haunted by the case. Before leaving the department, he made one final statement to press. Some cases aren't meant to be solved. Some houses keep their secrets. Years passed. The house was boarded up. Locals avoided it. Teenagers dared each other to touch the doorknob and run. One brave couple tried to buy it in 2024, but backed out after spending a single night inside. "We heard footsteps," they told a realtor, "and crying in the walls." Then, in March of 2025, something happened. A hunter walking near the edge of the woods behind Black Hollow found something strange, an old metal lockbox half buried in the ground. Inside were dozens of Polaroids, blurry, strange, some just showing part of the house, some showing people. One, in particular, caught Detective Wren's attention. It was dated October 12, 2019, 2 days before Clara disappeared. It showed Clara sitting at the kitchen table with a man no one could identify. The man had no face. Not that it was hidden. It was just blank, a smear, as if the image had been corrupted, but only for that figure. The photo lab confirmed it wasn't a camera error. The negative showed the same blur. That lockbox also contained a note written in shaky handwriting. It read, "They made us lie. He didn't hang himself. They made us say he did. But he was dead before we found him. And she knew. She knew when they came for her." Suddenly, the suicide wasn't just suspicious. It was part of something deeper, something orchestrated, a cover-up. And Clara? She was still missing. No bones, no sightings, no messages, just an echo left behind on a 911 tape. A breath, a silence, a presence. The FBI quietly reopened the case, but no one would talk about it. The files were sealed. Wren, now 61, refused interviews. "Let sleeping ghosts lie," he said in his last public comment. But the people of Cedar Falls haven't forgotten. Every October, someone leaves a red rose on the porch of 117 Black Hollow Lane. No one sees who does it. No one claims responsibility. But it always arrives the night of October 14th, the anniversary of the last scream Clara Willoughby ever made. And that lipstick message? It's still on the mirror. It won't wash off. Police tried ammonia, bleach, even replace the glass. But it reappears every time. Same words, same shade. He was never supposed to die. To this day, Clara Willoughby has never been found. No body, no evidence, no answers. Just a scream, a breath, and a house that remembers.